So, Josh, can you tell me a little bit about your involvement in DenHac and how you got into that crowd?
DenHac is a local hackerspace. Hackerspaces were what they called makerspaces before makerspaces existed.
Local to Denver, I think. Because we have people watching in Ghana.
Oh, really?
No. I mean,
no.
So
DenHac is local to Denver. But hackerspaces have been around for longer than that. There was a hackerspaces.org, and that's actually where hackerspaces used to get listed. Makerspaces weren't a thing until fairly recently. I think it's been like the last 5 or 6, 10, 7 years.
You said there's a company called Make that bought
Make.
it? Is that right?
So Make, there's this company called Make. They run Make magazine. And they're the ones who coined and kind of pushed the term makerspace. They also, there was some major beef over that as well. And on top of that, they run Maker Fair.
Maker Fair.
Yeah, so big fair where all the makers, that's the term for the people, come and they show off the things they've done. There's these groups, and all this. And so makerspaces and hackerspaces and all this are this kind of movement of people who are trying to learn to make things, build things, do things. It's a place for people who are technically inclined to go learn, go experiment. Like we have a laser cutter. You want to go cut things with a laser, you can do that. You want to print things 3D printer. We've got those. You want to lathe, we can do that. So if you want to go learn these things and you want to go be about these things, you want to go take apart a microwave and figure out that. Probably shouldn't turn it on while it's taken apart, but beyond that, if you bring a microwave, we're not going to stop you from taking it apart. Dude, but the thing is, it comes out with some really cool things. One of the dudes that's there is actually building a bike generator that while he's pedaling his bike, it automatically turns the lights on his bike and actually makes the lights blink and stuff.
That's right.
And so people are building stuff there, and it's this whole kind of maker hacker community culture. And so DenHac's the oldest one in Denver. Actually the oldest one in Colorado. It's been around for more than 10 years now.
Wow.
And that's way before that. It started out with an Arduino in a bar. Dude started just showing up with an Arduino in a bar, and until eventually they formed a group big enough to actually start having a hackerspace, and so we have a hackerspace.
And you've been involved for how many years now?
I've been part of it for 5 or 6 years. I was a board member for 3.
Board member?
Yeah, I'm not at the moment. I'm not at the moment because other people wanted it, and I kind of believe that there should be new blood going through every once in a while or circulating. So I'm not gonna take a spot on the board just to bench warm. That just seems like a waste.
So did you know Scott before Scott started?
In fact, Scott and I have known each other for about 4 years. I don't know if anybody else outside of this knows Scott, but outside, out in other countries,
in Ghana.
But yeah, that name's not going to mean a lot. But yeah, actually, in fact, the reason he's here is because of DenHac.
Nice.
Yeah.
We're actually thinking about doing an episode at DenHac, recording, and he's going to give us a tour, and we'll follow him around. We talked to him earlier today about that.
If there's a thing in DenHac, there's a good chance I had a hand in it.
Nice.
I have had a hand in a disturbingly large number of the things that are currently at DenHac.
Disturbingly large.
Well, so you're like, you don't realize that you'd spent a lot of time and energy working on something like working on DEF CON or working on these things until like you look back and you go like, well, that was me. And that was me. And that I was involved in. And I built that. And you're just like, okay. And then you start realizing that like you have actually had an effect on the world around you. You don't build an effect on things by doing big changes. All of a sudden, it's better. You do things by slowly making these things. Oh, this time we built tables. So this time we built, we moved this. So this time we improved this. This time I wrote this code. It's like making a product. People think it's like, oh, that person wrote, let's take, some product. Somebody wrote Metasploit in a day or Meterpreter in a day, right? It's not how it works. Somebody, they had the original idea. They built this original framework and then they chunk on this next piece because that makes life easier. And this next piece. And eventually you have this big, scary program that is ubiquitous because it's so awesome. But, these bits and pieces of it were added on gradually as the project grew. And so DenHac's a lot like that, where, I look back at it and I go like, one weekend we got annoyed at the fact that some of the tables were falling apart. So we showed up at Lowe's at 8:45 and bought a ton of lumber, and they were so angry because they closed at 9 and we were there until 9:30. And then we spent until 4 a.m. making new stuff for DenHac. On the fly because we needed to repair something, and those things have held up for 4 years. you don't expect to spend, you don't expect your work to be around for 4 years, but that was a spur of the moment. This is going to make life better moment that changed things.
So where is it physically located? Because I never want to go into downtown Denver, and if it's in downtown
6th
Denver,
in Kalamath, it's actually, or 7th in Kalamath to be specific. It's actually super easy. You get off right on 6th. It's right there. You don't have to go into Lake Lodo or anything.
Okay.
It's a 5 minute. 30. I can usually do it in about 2.5, but I'm going to say 5 minute jaunt from I-25.
Have you been there?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I've never been.
Really?
Have you ever been?
Yeah, I went.
Yeah, it's super
nice.
easy.
It's dope.
Well, the day that this whole office was being rebuilt, a lot of you guys went down to that
Oh
office.
no, I only went with Scott.
Okay,
Went down.
then yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've never been.
Heck, I was there yesterday.
I keep an eye on Meetup, and I keep in touch with Scott and like a few other people that go, and they
Well,
always
if you're
have
in-
stuff that sounds fun. But
If you're in South Denver, it's not too far from you.
I'm not in South Denver,
Aurora?
though. Yeah, I'm in Aurora.
So it's in your corner of it's in your section of Denver in that quadrant.
I should go. When's the next thing happening? What's happening next?
It's open. I mean, the next thing is DenHac on Saturday, but I suggest going to an open house, which is every Tuesday night.
Every Tuesday night.